Good morning. Welcome to One Baha'i. I wasn't actually planning on recording anything today. Being Saturday, I thought take the weekend off. I said I would do Monday to Friday, but, well, I woke up this morning and I had a thought, so I figured might as well talk about it a little bit. As you remember, yesterday we were looking at that prayer, which I'll read now. O my Lord, make thy beauty to be my food, and thy presence my drink, and thy pleasure my hope, and praise of thee my action, and remembrance of thee my companion, and the power of thy sovereignty my succorer, and thy habitation my home, and my dwelling place the seat thou hast sanctified from the limitations imposed upon them who are shut out as by a veil from thee. Thou art verily the Almighty, the All-Glorious, the Most Powerful. Yesterday we looked a little bit at the phrase, make thy beauty to be my food. So I thought today I would take a look at thy presence my drink. Now, obviously drink has, it goes hand in hand with food, and it brings to mind all of those various statements and connotations and metaphors about water. The water of life, a dewdrop sprinkled over all creation will change everything. You know all those quotes. I don't need to go into them here. But what intrigued me this morning was thy presence. You see, it seems to me that beauty is an attractant. Beauty is what attracts us. Baha'u'llah is the most great beauty. And as we are attracted, we want to begin to enter his presence. You want to move closer to him. And from there, he talks about thy pleasure, my hope. You see, once I'm in Baha'u'llah's presence, I hope to gain his pleasure. Now, the only way to do that is to serve the faith, to be moral and upright and virtuous and truthful and courteous and kind and compassionate and on and on. And then, if I have gained Baha'u'llah's pleasure to whatever small degree is possible, for me, probably more for you, praise of thee, my action. I want the praise of Baha'u'llah to be my action. Everything that I do, I want to show praise towards God. And, you can actually go through the rest of the prayer and see it sequentially, step by step by step by step. How each phrase leads us to the next step. Each part brings us closer to God, helps us develop in our spiritual growth. Now, the reason that it intrigued me when I woke up this morning was the word sequence. As you all know, in all of the messages from the Universal House of Justice regarding the 5-year plan, they talk about the Training Institute and the sequence of courses. This came up recently in one of my study circles where some of the friends, they like to look at each book individually. They're doing, let's say, book 6 or book 10 or book 12. They're doing one book, one unit, isolated from the rest in a sense. And they always focus it on their current activities, which is great. But I was thinking about how the Universal House of Justice stresses the importance of the sequence of courses. So one of the things that I tend to do as a tutor is at the beginning of every book, I remind the friends of the sequence of courses up to that point. When we start a session, I like to remind them of what they titled the last few sections. You see, I have them titled each section as we go. And then they take those titles and they put them in that front blank page of each unit, and it becomes a table of contents. Many, many tutors do this. This is great. So we were doing a book 10 recently, and I asked the group, I said, who remembers the first theme in Unit 1 of Book 1? Almost nobody did. It was kind of strange. One person said prayer. I said, well, it's in there, but that's actually the second unit. As you know, each book has 3 units. Each unit has a number of sections. I said, prayer is Unit 2. But go back to Unit 1. What's the very first theme? And somebody remembered that it was reading the writings. And then somebody else said, oh, it was action. So everything in the Ruhi books leads to action. Out of all of the quotes that they could have chosen and all of the writings of Baha'u'llah, the one that they chose to start the sequence of courses is the betterment of the world can be accomplished through pure and goodly deeds, through commendable and seemly conduct. So if something in the books doesn't lead us to action, I always tell the group, if you don't see how to apply it, let's pause. Let's ask each other. Let's try to figure it out. And interestingly enough, every single line, we have found an action component to it. It's a neat little test. The second theme, I asked them if they knew the second theme, and somebody remembered that it was truthfulness. Because if your actions are not based in truthfulness, what good are they? The third theme is a kindly tongue, because, you might be truthful, but you might not be kind. My favorite example of that is, oh my gosh, that dress looks horrible on you. Truthful maybe, not kind. The last theme is don't backbite. Because you may be truthful, you may think you're being kind, but you might accidentally be backbiting. So don't do it. And that leads us to prayer, because backbiting, as you remember, extinguishes the life of the soul, quenches the light of the spirit, and prayer kindles the soul. It reignites it. It gets it to burn even brighter. And then from there, once your soul is burning bright, once you are aware of that more spiritual dimension of your life, then you begin to look at life and death, the purpose of life, why we are here. We can bend our every action to the service of that purpose of why we are here. At the end of the book, there are those questions, and one of them is, what do you want to do now? I'm paraphrasing. And obviously, a lot of people say, I'd like to share these ideas with other people. Great. That leads us right into book 2. You see how the sequence moves us from book 1 to book 2. And then I didn't even go into book 2. I just said, what was the very last theme in book 2? We have all those talks. What was the very last topic? And it took people a minute or so, and they finally realized, education of children. Boom, book 3. In book 3, you learn to tell simple stories. You want to learn a little bit more about those stories. You go into book 4, which is the stories of the twin manifestations, combined with crisis and victory, as well as each historical episode is paired with a spiritual theme. And you learn through this process how to connect a spiritual theme to something that is happening today. You make that connection historically, you learn how to do it in the present. And this is one of those great skills that you need. Sorry, those allergies are still getting to me these days. This is one of those skills that you need when you're talking to junior youth. Junior youth are at that peculiar moment in life where they are transitioning from being a child to being an adult. Their borders, their mental, their spiritual borders are expanding. They're exploring the world to a greater and deeper level. They're asking much more profound questions, and they need more profound answers. And the skills that we learn through book 4 are the skills we need in book 5. Now, as we begin our junior youth groups in book 5, more activities begin happening in our community, in our neighborhood, in our cluster, and we begin to see the importance of organizing a teaching campaign. Book 6. As we do the teaching campaign, more people become interested. We need to start more study circles. Book 7. You see how the sequence leads from one to the next to the next. Okay, now it's not just the sequence of the books, but the ideas themselves within the books are very sequential, very logical. They make a lot of sense. I'm going to challenge you today. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to get into the details. This is just a little challenge that I wanted to share this morning. Go back through book 2, unit 2, and unit 3, and make an outline of the topics within them. You're asked to share the first 3 topics in unit 2. Why those 3? Why not the first 4? Why not all of them? How does that sequence of ideas, that sequence of presentations, that sequence of themes differ from the sequence of themes in the 3rd unit? And then go to Anna's presentation in book 6, and you'll see a very different order of the themes. Compare those 3 different paths, book 2, unit 2, book 2, unit 3, Anna's presentation from book 6, and then pick a friend in your mind, someone that you would love to share the faith with. Look at those 3 orders of themes and ask yourself, which path would be best for them? We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow or Monday. I don't know, one of these days. But that was really all I wanted to share. Just that little bit from make thy beauty to be my food and thy presence my drink. And to share the concept of the sequence of ideas. Nothing in the writings is random. Nothing in the faith is random. And this is one of the things that the Universal House of Justice is training us to do through the Training Institute. Thank you very much for listening today. We'll talk again soon.